Welcome to the Limit Free Life Show. I'm Michelle Perkins, your host. I bring you tips, advice, and guest stories about creating work you love. Whatever type of career or business you have or want, I want to help you find more meaning, money, and happiness. Now we are live from Hollywood. Hello, and welcome to this week's episode of the Limit Free Life Show. I'm your host, Michelle Perkins. And I have a wonderful guest with me today. I am super excited. I've wanted to have her on for a long time, but this is so timely and perfect right now that that must have been the universe just waiting for the right moment. So she's here today, and I'm very excited to introduce you to Jennifer Buzza. Jennifer has been growing and nurturing entrepreneurs and nonprofit leaders for over 2 decades. Through her branding agency, teaching and speaking, her core values are lived every day with clients and students online and in person. With a graduate degree in international business, administration, nonprofit management, and an undergrad degree in finance and economics, she's solidly founded a career and a calling to inspire through connection, community gathering, growth, and identity. So welcome, Jen. So glad you're here.
Thank you so much for having me, Michelle. I also have been wanting to be here for a long time, and you're right. This is a great opportunity. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thank you for coming on. Because Jen is an expert on working online. She teaches people how to run their businesses online and among many other things. And she is online on Zoom all day, every day. And
Yes.
So many of us right now are doing that or needing to transition into that. And I think for a lot of people who transition into it, they may not go back, at least, not entirely. So that thing that we've been wanting to do for a long time, teach a course or take whatever we do online, now's the right time. And I'm so happy to have you here to give people some insight and expertise on that.
Yes, absolutely. I have been running my business online for over 6 years. I have been on Zoom for most of those years, about 4+ years. So I definitely know, Michelle, there's just so much to it that you don't even realize it until this crisis hit and people started asking me. And I said, oh, it's simple. Oh, it's simple. You just have to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And I'm like, oh, actually, it's not. It's not simple. And so I've been schooled in how to teach people to quickly transition to having their business online, whether that's just professional meetings online, or if that's also selling something online, a product, a course, a service. So it's a great opportunity for many people to reach so many more people on the planet than they may have ever even dreamed of it. And now they can do it and kind of have to.
Yeah, kind of have to agree. And you're one of the rare people out there. I don't know if you're rare, but you are rare as a person. But as far as business goes, your life has not been impacted the same way a lot of people's lives have been with this, because you already work online and your work actually is probably picked up. Is that correct?
Yes, my work has picked up twofold. Easily. I'm super busy. I used to keep really tight hours, and now they're much looser. I'm working a lot more. But part of that is, Michelle, because I did realize that the simple stuff that I can teach about getting your business online, it's really easy for me to offer that to people, and it's really helpful. So instead of being like, no, I only work, because I usually work 17 hours a week. Now I only work 17 hours a week. I'm working a lot more now, but which is great because I can offer free classes to the community. I can do coaching. I can do all sorts of stuff that is so pertinent for people right now for their livelihood, and not just money, right? But their well-being. I believe we like to be challenged as humans, and we like to grow. And this is our opportunity right now, is online growth.
Yeah, it's a huge opportunity, and thank goodness we have it as an option. This is this is happening, and it's terrible, but in some ways it's a good thing it's happening now, where we can transition. People can come home from their companies and their offices and work from home and basically do the same job, and in some cases more efficiently. So this is just very timely. It's something that there is so much to talk about with respect to this. So there are different groups of people. And my sister's a
Hmm.
professor at UT Dallas, and they told her, okay, everybody's going home, everybody's going to go on online school. The kids were fine with it. I mean, it's not a big deal for them. The professors, I hadn't heard it from that side of the coin, and they didn't know how to do it. And she's actually one of the younger ones, and she barely knew how to do it. And she was like, the older folks, I don't know how they're going to do this. So, what would you say to people who are about to transition? I think there are two different groups. There's the people who are currently working, for organizations, and then there are the entrepreneurs.
Hmm.
So, would you address those two groups differently? What would you have to say to them?
That is a really good question. The people who are working, so their job was an in-person or primarily in-person job, and now they are being asked to work from home. Hmm. A lot of things. It's going to depend on, are you client facing or not? Um, and this goes for entrepreneurs too. So if you are client facing, I am a big fan of first impressions matter. So they're going to matter if you've known a client for a long time, but now you're meeting on video instead of person. Make your best effort to try to have some sort of setting that doesn't have a lot of noise in the background or glare or
Can we use mine as an example of what not to do right now? I have a lot of light.
yes, and I know you're working on it, right? This is the other thing I want to say to everybody. This is a great time to not be perfect. All right? Because everybody knows that everybody's in flux. Everybody's working from a new space. Everybody's working with dogs and kids in the background, right? So it's okay. I mean, it's not like, I'm not saying at any point don't have a meeting or don't launch a product or don't get online until these things take place. But if you are like a teacher, a professor, or an accounts manager or anything as an employee or part of a big group that now is working from home, just keep in mind that what you've got in the background. Keep in mind your audio quality. I'm a big fan of AirPod Pros. Other than that, I don't really like any of the wireless. Apple regular little they're great for this for teaching and being and leading online. Trying to think of keep it simple, I guess would be where I'd start. I know lots of times we have a lot of tools in person, a lot of PowerPoints, a lot of worksheets. Um, when you're starting, just keep it simple. Instead of having a big worksheet, have them write it down. Hey, I want everyone to grab a piece of paper and a pen. We're going to write down this question. What were the three things professor, whatever it might be, right? And then you can get a little bit fancier as time goes and you become more comfortable, right? So then to have an online editable worksheet is phenomenal. It's phenomenal when all your students can be working on the same worksheet at the same time so they learn from each other as they're doing it. Are there some tricks to that? Sure, right? Um, as far as PowerPoints or Google Slides. I do prefer Google Slides, by the way. I know a lot of professors like PowerPoints. Try to get those into Google Slides because they just translate better on a virtual setting. And just keep those simple too to start, right? Put it in present mode with notes. You can have your notes right under your Zoom or your online platform. And you can read your notes while still looking at the camera, right? So keeping your face forward. Um, as far as entrepreneurs, Michelle,
Yeah.
now that's my sweet spot. Um, yeah, for entrepreneurs, I mean, this is like we had a big concrete parking lot, and now it is all cracked up, and the weeds are coming through as opportunities everywhere, everywhere. Like we as entrepreneurs, whatever it is you have offered in the past, whether a product or a service, this is your moment. What do people need? What do you have that might solve the problem? Think wildly. This is a extreme moment of creation around the globe for humanity. I for entrepreneurs who are and employees who are entrepreneurs on the side, this is the moment. Put something out there. See if you can. Again, not the moment for perfection.
Mhm.
I'm actually going to go ahead and say there's never a moment for perfection. Perfection doesn't exist. So this is it's a time to be start offering classes, put it out in a couple places, see if people grab onto it.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I love that. And you brought up a good point for those people who maybe have a job, but right now their company is shut down or whatever, that side gig that maybe you've been thinking about that could actually turn into, something bigger later, now is the time to start that. And a lot of those can be online right now.
100%, 100%. And Michelle, like this is, we have such an opportunity now to be discovering not only ourselves, but what our community needs.
Oh, yeah.
And, if you have this, like you do have a job, but like you just said, you've thought about doing something else, think about it. Yeah. Like get on it, like see, put some stuff out in the world and see, we've been talking in the entrepreneurial world a long time about move the free line. Yeah, move the free line a long way right now, way more than before. Offer it for free. See what kind of traction you get. See who's interested. You could always offer a one-on-one coaching or one-on-one advising or something else to add on to that down the road. And you guys know how time is going. In the midst of a crisis, time slows down. So yeah.
Yeah, I love that. And you're doing some wonderful free classes. So I want to make sure people hear that from what you're doing and what you're offering right now. And I know that you're cycling those a few times and offering them quite a bit and really giving a lot of your time. And I want to take all of them. They all sound great. So can you tell people a little about what you're doing?
Yes. And just quickly before that, I just want to say we all know something really, really, really well. And for us, it often seems like, oh, it's just second nature. Oh, everybody knows how to do this. But that's just not the truth. Like, it's not. Like, there are things that each person out there knows better than anybody else. Right. And so, this where you think it's something simple and nobody would be interested, go ahead and give it a try. And in doing that, that's how these classes came about, Michelle. I do teach entrepreneurs how to grow their business. I've been doing that for a long time. And yeah, it actually is. There's a lot of steps to it, right? It's a lot of ongoing work and analysis. But some of the more simple things are the classes that I'm teaching right now. Entrepreneurial hacks or just plain old hacks for being productive at home, working from home. It's a great one. I've been working in a co-working space and in an office and at my home for the last 20 years. So how do you keep yourself productive if you are someone who tends to get more distracted, which as creatives or when one is in a creative space, we do get distracted, right? So how to be productive at home, how to run Zoom.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
I really did, Michelle, think it was going to be one of those things that nobody was going to be interested in. It is the class that is the most full. I mean, people are just like, I have no idea how to do this. And I'm like, oh, right. It's not as intuitive. I've been doing it for a very long time. How to run your business online and kind of an analysis, a class on analyzing what part of your business can be online. What's the one product that you have that can compete in an online market, which is completely different than an in-person market, right? And also how to professionally come across online and still be you, right? I'm never going to say put on a suit and a tie if that's not your style or your brand, right? So how do you stay you, but come across in a very safe way for your clients? Because this is definitely a part of life where in humanity where we want to provide safety and provide this like lighthouse in a storm.
Right. Right. And I hope people can see how I wasn't sure if it was going to work this way, but I've done a couple of networking groups too that have gone online. I feel like there's more of a connection than you'd think you'd have. I mean, I thought, it's just going to be weird and we're not really going to connect, but you actually can have a very real connection online and feel the energy of the other person in a weird way. I can't really describe it, but it works. It works way better than one would think. Because a lot of people will be like, no, I have to meet somebody in person or I can't really get to know them.
Michelle, absolutely. This is where I do ask that all of my students and clients that they come on with video, because all of those facial cues, Michelle, that you pick up in person, you pick up here too, right? There's another thing that I say to people that I'm helping to get on Zoom is, you do have to make some adjustments, like your hand motions need to stay within your frame, right? You need to be careful not to put your hands too close like this, to the camera because then it looks odd. So we're trying to appear as if though we would appear in person. And when we do that with just a few couple like tips, like that, like here's your frame, stay in your frame. If you're going to use your hands, keep them within the box. Have your camera straight onto your face so that it's as if we were sitting across from each other. You'll see people with the angle coming from way down below or up above them. Tricks like some simple lighting. You just grab that lamp from your living room and bring it in, set it on your desk, and play with it.
Yeah, right? Yeah. And the lighting needs to be in front, right, in front of you, not behind you.
It's very helpful, especially if you're aware of all of your lovely aging wrinkles. It is very helpful to have your lighting come more or less directly at you. You don't want it coming down or from below. You also, just as a little quick hack, you can also use the brightness on your computer. So adjust for the day. If you have big windows in your office or your space where you're working, I'm kind of breaks my heart to say this, but block them just for the time that you are online on video, because you really want to be able to control the lighting in your room. Right. So I've got blocks on this. This is a makeshift home office right now. And I close them as soon as I'm offline and not on video. I open them back up so I can see the day. Right. Yeah.
Okay, great. Go ahead.
I was just going to say another quick trick. If you're newer to Zoom, and I don't know if the other online video platforms do this, but Zoom has this amazing feature. It's like my favorite thing. You go into Zoom, like up at the top of your computer, and you do Zoom preferences, and you go in, and there's one that says touch up my appearance.
Oh.
And it's just a little filter that kind of blurs you a little bit. So you don't see everything and you just have a little bit softer appearance. So it's really lovely. I highly recommend, like anytime that I get on a different program like Google Hangouts or FaceTime, I'm like, oh, wow, I didn't know I looked like that.
That's a fantastic tip.
Yeah. Yeah.
A bunch better than that. So I'll try that afterwards. But so yeah, if you don't mind just kind of running through, because the thing with I mean, Zoom is my preference. I'm hearing it's your preference. There are options out there, but it seems to be the way people are going. I'd love to hear just your, a few ideas on how to use it. And I think everybody needs to be on it right now, because not only do you need it for your business and doing business online, but interviewing online. And that's, people will still be interviewing, will still be doing job search, and the interviews will all be taking place on Zoom at this point, I think, or possibly platform. But.
Well, and also, it's a wonderful way to cut down on travel in general. So let's say we come out of crisis, there's still going to be a lot of client meetings that you can do instead of traveling a long way or whatnot. So it's really nice to be able to have an online meeting take place and for it to feel very natural. A couple things. Let's see. What would I say? I think just this, Michelle, of keeping it seem as if you were in person. So just trying to keep, if you have a large group, you need to overhost. You need to be the one, you need to be calling on people. You need to be, in my experience, right? It's great if there is one person in charge, even if it's a networking event, or if this is a great platform to have play dates with your kids. It's a great platform to have dinners with your family right now. We're playing games like bingo with my family on Zoom. Yeah. It's just a great place to be able to connect and still see people. I just keep in mind and just keep note of what goes well and what doesn't, and think of how you can fix it. If you're seeing this right now and you want to take a class, I'm offering the Zoom class. I definitely recommend Zoom because of the audio video quality. It's just better than anybody else. Okay. Some of the other ones are more user friendly, especially for the host.
Okay.
Like there's certain things with Zoom I wish I could change, but the fact that most people on Wi-Fi can have their video and audio really great on Zoom. That's just it's the differentiator. This is what makes it.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, there are some things I know sometimes when people Zoom in for a podcast, when I'm in the studio, we have some issues and they will freeze, things like that. But I think sometimes that's too many things open on their computer, possibly, or their Wi-Fi
Yes.
problem.
So if you can, without a doubt, get a hard line, an internet hard line. Like you want to have the Ethernet cable. I highly recommend that to all of my students and clients. You want to have that because even if your Wi-Fi is faster for upload and download, when you run a test, it's not as reliable. Like it gets interference more. So you want to, and then you know what, Michelle, it's going to happen too. You're going
Right.
to have something and somewhere and it's going to pause every now and then. It is not in person. You know, you kind of do have to do a little adjusting. Always have your chat open so you can say, hey guys, I froze for a minute. I definitely close down my browsers as many as possible, and I'm on a great machine. But I try to do that just to ensure, especially when I'm hosting, right? Especially when I'm running a meeting.
Right.
Yeah. Another quick thing for everybody who's going to be meeting online, I recommend just have in mind, like just know that people will be more distracted. So as the teacher or as the host, you've got to bring them back. You've got to have some exciting moments. You've got to, it's kind of like overacting. Or like if you've heard Michelle, like when you're on camera, you have to wear more makeup kind of concept. I think of that as like as a host, you have to over host a little bit, right? You've got to be like, and I do it all the time, Michelle. I'll be like, Nancy, what do you think about this? And I see Bob over there and hi, you know, like I'm way more than I would be in person. If I was like that, if I was like that in person, I probably wouldn't have very many friends.
Oh, that's great though. Yeah, really, really wonderful. So you're talking primarily about teaching or running meetings, basically.
Teaching or running meetings. Like, so here's the thing, Michelle. When you're in a meeting or in a classroom or sitting next to a client, even at lunch, right? Any of these things we would have done in person. If you're sitting in a cubicle or a desk next to somebody, right? If you were sitting there and an elephant walked by, everybody would know it. You,
Right.
the teacher, you, the meeting leader, you, the coworker, everybody would know it. Right? Right now, if an elephant walked by right now, you wouldn't be able to see it. Right? You have no idea what's happening. So we just knowing that people are going to be more distracted because they're looking at their computer. And right below here, right now, I could have a show on Netflix happening, right?
Right.
And it doesn't mean that I'm a bad participant. It just means we're used to doing a lot. We're used to multitasking on computers, right? So just expect that that's going to be a tendency. And the other thing is that you don't know if somebody's kid just walked in, or especially during this crisis, like you don't know what's going on, or if they've muted themselves because a trash truck is going by. Like
Right.
we don't know. So I try to be a little bit more forgiving and grace, a little more grace around the scenario, because it might look like somebody's not paying attention and really like they might really have a kid just come in and you just don't know it yet, right? So I will pause. I'll pause a class, I'll pause a meeting and say like, hey, do you need a second? In a very positive way, not in a mean way.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, great. That is really interesting, actually. So, yeah. So for people who, well, how do you handle just the interaction? Because the thing I've noticed is there's a tendency for everybody to talk at once, and then you're
Yes.
not hearing anybody. And yeah, so
Oh, so this is so great, Michelle. I'm glad you brought it up. This is in setting boundaries. So because we have no social norms around online meetings right now, we don't have them. We need to, as hosts, establish them, right? So I will often say a few things right in the beginning of a class or a meeting or a webinar, or even a dinner date, right? You've got my grandparent, I wish my grandparents, my kids' grandparents, my kids, my uncle, everybody is on Zoom. And I will say, hey guys, the top right-hand corner of your Zoom window, there's a gallery button view. Click it so you can see all of us, right? I'm going to be the host for this dinner. That means I will lead some questions and I will call on people, right? One mistake people make a lot, Michelle, especially in these bigger groups like networking groups, is they say things like, oh, the person to the left of you talk. The person to my left is different than the person to your left. And the second somebody turns on video and turns it off, the whole arrangement changes.
Yeah.
So you got to be like, this is where, Michelle, I say, take, have your post-it notes or whatever it is and take note. Okay, Michelle has spoken. Okay, Sally has spoken. Bob has spoken. And then you as the host, it's your responsibility to say, all right, Todd is our last, panelist for today.
Right.
Right.
Okay.
So you gotta pay a little bit more attention, because some of the things we have, some of the abilities we have in person to just intuitively kind of know, or everyone's sitting in a circle, right, of who's spoken, who hasn't, right, and everybody in the room kind of knows, that
Right.
doesn't apply anymore. So
Yeah.
you have to keep track. I literally write down every time I'm in a meeting and I'm asking each person to give an update on how they are. I write down who has spoken every single time,
That's smart.
right?
Yeah, very smart.
Yeah. Yeah, and you want to do that, and you need to have that host, somebody, and you can co-host. That is a capability on Zoom, so you can have somebody help you,
Right.
right? But just set the boundaries in a positive way, the safety boundaries, the guidelines, the barriers on the road, right? You want to set them for people. So
Right.
I will be your host. I will call on people. I will ask some questions. Um, I will be muting you. This is another good one. If you have background noise, I will be muting you, right? I teach people hand signals. I love the visual thumbs up. I love I got a question or something relative, like, you raise your hand.
Okay.
If the meeting's really big, you can digitally raise your hand.
Mhm.
I do this if somebody has their mic off and they're talking. I'll be
Oh,
like, hey, Michelle. Like, so I will teach people that in the beginning of a class. And
interesting.
I have a whole write up of the different hand notions and stuff like that, that I teach in the class on how to teach and how to be on Zoom. So I can share that with everybody. But just set the guidelines. There's not many, but how is communication different here, and how I will keep you safe.
I love that. The other thing that came up, a friend asked me a question. She's a coach, and she was going to do a call on Zoom, but she was expecting a couple hundred people to show up, and so we were talking about whether Zoom was the right platform for that, and I didn't really know. To me, I thought something maybe without the visual, just almost like a teleseminar kind of thing might be better.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not the authority, and I'm just curious now what you would say to that.
Yeah. So if you do not want the visuals, right? If you do not want that to be option,
Mhm.
you go to a webinar format. You
Oh,
can I stick with Zoom. It's right
right.
now, I think it's $43 extra on top of your account. You have to have a paid account. So it's something like $60 a month. And then they do not have video option, right? They can chat in. I believe they can even audio in to ask a question, but there's no visual on them, right? And it's just a big square. It's just you or just your slide, whatever you choose.
Okay.
Um, you can also, if you don't want to do that, you can do a lot of controls on the back end of Zoom, like in your account. You have to go to Zoom's website and sign in.
Right.
This is not like in your Zoom app on your computer. There's not very many control options. So it's got to be the website of Zoom when you're logged into your account. But
Okay.
you can do a Zoom meeting without the webinar feature. And you, as the host, can mute everybody. You can even turn everybody's camera off with
Hmm.
one click, right? When doing any sort of meeting or webinar or whatever it may be, where you're going to have, I'd say, more than 50 people, you want to have a co-host. You want to have somebody else on your team who knows Zoom slightly, who can help you in muting somebody if they come off mute by accident and they have a dog barking. You, as the host, as the person presenting, you don't want to be thinking about those things, right? There's some great features. You can just say, if you have a question, please put your question with you could call it out. Say, put in the chat Q colon, so that we know it's a question and we keep track of it, right? Because there will be, when you have a lot of people, Michelle, there will be people typing back and forth to each other,
I know.
right?
Yeah.
Yes. So have them highlight it with a Q, and then your co-host can write it down or copy it, so that when the question answer time does come, they have a list of questions for you.
Yeah, I love that you're bringing that up, because now I'm thinking of all the things that get get me in trouble, that where either
Yeah.
I don't even dare to use it, because, for example, the chat, if I'm running a meeting by myself, I don't encourage people using the chat, because I don't know how to keep talking and look at the chat and do all that together. So the co-host idea is really excellent. And I have
Yeah.
been curious, when do you set up a meeting versus when do you set up a webinar? I actually didn't intend to get into all this detail, but I'm finding it really interesting because
Yeah.
I don't know as I'm using it.
Yeah. So it really is, it depends on your style. I prefer to have meetings even if there's hundreds of people. I like it because I really like to see people and I like people to see each other. I also have found that people are a little more gentle when their image might be attached, right? So when you get large groups, it depends. I'm just saying it can happen where someone goes like, "Oh, what an ugly this." When they're anonymous, it's a lot easier than when their name might be there.
Right.
On the flip side, though, Michelle, I will say, if you have an audience that you may have an audience that benefits from being anonymous. I've worked with some teachers lately that teach stuff like SATs, right? So it's not their regular class,
Right.
and they have told me that they allow their students, right? So group teaching, and they allow their students to go into their image. So anybody can go into their box on Zoom, click the top right hand three little dots that appear, and you can change your name. So she encourages have them change their name. And then she says the questions they will ask when they're anonymous that they will never ask in person. She's like, it has changed the way I'm teaching. So there might be an audience, or maybe you're a counselor doing a workshop, right? A therapist doing a workshop. And it's like one of those moments where, like, now more than ever, a workshop in person, people could be really anonymous and ask their questions that it might be really, really sensitive that they wouldn't have asked in your in-person workshop on that counseling topic, right? So you think about when that might apply. Generally, though, I like to see people's faces. I like other people to see other people's faces. You can have it to where your recording is of only you, the speaker. So if you're going to repurpose the material, you can have it where you turn off everybody's camera at once. Like, you have a lot of controls as the host. If you are going to be repurposing it and you want a certain look.
Okay. Yeah. Great point, because it's very easy to record your meetings on Zoom too, and we don't know that.
Incredibly.
Yeah.
Incredibly easy. And Michelle, incredibly easy to disseminate after. You just go in to your meeting and you click on it, and you can Google this, but it's fairly simple. And you can edit what the external link actually shows people. So it's not a whole editing tool by any means, but you can cut out the beginning. So say you've got some chitter in the beginning, right? And then say at the end you go into some question and answer that goes long, or it ends up being a social hangout, right? You can go and you can trim off the end and trim off the beginning. So I do that all the time. Like, it's so easy, Michelle. So like, literally anybody can do it.
You're saying it's easy.
Yeah.
I won't think it's so easy.
Yeah. Well, I can walk you through it. It's you just go into the website again. You click on that recording under recordings, and then you just click on it. It says edit, and it's only the two edges. That's it. But really, like, great. And then there's a link. You send it out to people.
That's great. Yeah. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
So, as we're talking about, I mean, since you're dealing with people who are running businesses online all the time, can you just maybe summarize a few of the, I don't know, a little bit of advice for those people? I mean, it's a wide variety of people, so it's a really broad question, but just think out there that you would want someone who said, I want to start an online business, maybe a few things that you would say to them.
Okay. First, your online competition, right? Your what you'd be competing against online is completely different than in person. So I highly suggest either looking at keyword searches yourself, or if I've already lost you by that expression, have somebody help you see what the bidding is on keywords and see who you're competing against. So say you sell shoe inserts. I was working with someone the other day who sells like shoe inserts, right? Their online competition is like how to give yourself a foot massage, not other shoe companies, right? It's not necessarily even other shoe insert companies. It's what are people looking for online, And how do you speak to that? So this is where the problem match with the solution is super, super important. So having said that, think about it. Think about what people are searching for online. There are tools you can use to see what people are searching online, but think about what people are searching for, what their pains are right now, especially what their acute pains are right now, right? And then I highly recommend starting with your number one potential product or number one potential service online. A lot of companies are coming right now and they're saying, I sell 25,000 things or 10 different things. I'm like, okay, what's the one we're going to focus on right now? Yeah. One. We're going to pick one and we're going to market to that one. What's the one that answers an acute issue right now? Right? I think that in order to build an entire business online, it takes time and it takes effort and it takes strategy. A quick start to it is to focus in on one offering, whether that be a product or a service, and make it clear. Just make it super clear. I'll say this quickly, and this is something that I do all day long. 3 things for a landing page. 3 things for a page that somebody who doesn't know you may land on. All right. So that's what a landing page is. It could be a 1-page website. It could be your whole homepage. It doesn't matter. But if you are somehow getting traffic there, whether it's an article you wrote or an interview that you did, or however somebody might be arriving there who doesn't really know you yet, answer these 3 questions. Ready?
Wanting my pen here. Okay, I'll re-listen.
What? Yeah. What is it? Right? So really quickly tell people without making them think, what is it? You know, marketing website strategy, right? Really easy. Who is it for? Tell them who it's for car dealerships. Okay. Right? And what do you want me to do? So this is the call to action. Really quickly, click here for further information. Click here to book an appointment. Click here to download. Those 3 things, the first image that they get, so we call it above the fold. So before they scroll, have those questions answered really simply in language they're going to understand. I like to see, and I've been advising a lot of people to add in the current crisis title, right? Yeah. So our current crisis, right? COVID-19, marketing for auto repair shops, right? Make it to where they get there and they go, this is for me. I need this product, service.
Yeah, I love that. And you're making it sound so easy. And
I know.
It's not.
I know.
And why is that? Why do we all want to add too much? I mean, I do it. Why?
We all do it. I'm not too sure. I think that we must have gone through something as a society where we thought, you know, over speaking and overstating was a great thing. I'd be happy to review anybody's website. If you'd like, reach out to me. I do it in my sleep. I'm going to tell you though, I am pretty ruthless, and I try to warn people about that if you want gentle and sweet on a website review, don't ask me. Like I'm gonna lay it out. So put your feelings aside for a minute. Right? But I definitely I could talk about this for days, but yeah, I really like to have it really clean.
Yeah. Okay. So you get that nice, clean, perfect landing page or website. Not perfect. Nothing's perfect. But really good, you know, stopping place for people to figure out who you are and what you're offering. Then what? How for that newer person envisioning this online business, and I'm so glad you said it's not fast, because there are a lot of people out there talking about how fast it can be, and that drives me crazy. Of course, there are those, you know, people who do make it all work fast, but for the vast majority, it's not so fast.
The people who I've seen do it fast have a lot of funding and or a lot of experience, right? There are ways to start quicker, but it's not going to be the full enchilada that you want to offer, the full big business. I do say, you know, start somewhere, and small actions to big results. Just continue with a little bit every day. right? There's another class I want to teach. I haven't put it together yet, but I had a student of mine talk about, I was like, it just takes small steps every day, just a little bit every day, And he's like, oh yeah, wash one fork. And I was like, what? And he went on to explain to me how he hates doing dishes. And he hates it. And he just tells himself from his couch, just get up and just wash one fork. So I love that concept of like starting your business. Like we can all make something giant and huge and nebulous of like, oh, I can never start that. It's impossible. And until we just start putting little points down, it is impossible. Right. So this notion of get up, get to the sink, grab that one fork, turn on the water, get a little soap. And before you know it, all the dishes are done. Yeah. Right. So wash one fork, get started. People talk about the book, Eat That Frog. I mean, there's a lot of concepts around like just get moving a little bit, right? Just get started.
Right. And I do believe that. I had a coach a while ago who used to say small hinges swing big doors, and kind of I loved that saying.
That's great.
I know, because it's true. Those small actions eventually will grow into, something that's what you want.
Yes.
So yeah, we only have a few more minutes, so I really want to see what to touch on here, because there's so much. What you're talking about is so important right now, but there are so many aspects to it. Maybe just like a quick case study or an example. I mean, that was one that you just mentioned. Anything that you've seen out there, somebody you've worked with who's just done a really good job with this and made something happen?
Sure. I mean, there are people. Oh, I love this story. So one of the students that I work with works with hotels, right, in the Caribbean, right? Talk about business disappearing overnight. Really quickly pivoted to offering and started giving webinars. Never done a webinar before. Called the associations for the hotels. Said, hey, let me see if I can teach people like what to do to get future bookings, what to do with their to improve their hotels right now, and is doing amazing, right? So he came up with the webinar of how basically to survive coronavirus, right? And has now signed many hotels on as clients under a consulting package. Never offered a pure consulting package, never like it just like really you're just like, but found that opportunity. And this is something I do want to say, Michelle. So thanks for opening up this question. Opportunist in many other language isn't a bad word, right? I'm not talking about selling baby Purell bottles for $40, but finding the opportunity, finding the acute needs right now and bringing a valid solution. Yes, do it, right? Like create it, right? And on that note, Michelle, and you've inspired this a lot in me, is this notion that right now, this very moment is perfect. We are fine. We are humans. We're fantastic. We are doing the best we can. And in creating, whether you're an employee, a teacher, an entrepreneur, if you're just trying on something new, in the doing of that, there is a purpose and a reward just in the doing. Let's say it never gets you anywhere.
Right.
You still were on that journey. And the next time you do something, you will have that experience behind you. So there's no such thing as wasted time or wasted effort, in my opinion.
I love that. I just had to be silent for a second because it was so beautiful. And the way you stated that was so, and I think you're just a shining example right now of how to be positive in this time. I mean, people like you are stepping up, offering free services and classes, and also just picking up the vibrational energy in the room, because that kind of outlook, it's all mindset. Everything we're going through right now is going to be either severely damaged and sabotaged, or really helped by attitude and mindset. And the mindset you just presented was what I think everybody should be going forward with. This is going to be difficult. This is going to be unknown territory, but the opportunities really are endless. And so, I'm so glad you said that.
So. Yeah, well, and you helped me to see that too the other day, in this notion of like create and recreate for what you actually want, right? Recreate yourself, recreate your offerings for something you actually want to be doing every day.
Right.
For something that brings you a reward. For everything has an intrinsic value. If you can see it, if you have awareness of that, when you have awareness of it, that value lifts you up and those around you.
Right.
Right?
Right. Yeah. Thank you. And that's another great point that we can kind of end with, which is, yeah, stay focused on what you want, because we've all been running at a huge, fast pace,
Mm.
not necessarily paying attention to that. And so even if we've been making great money and doing all kinds of amazing things, that question of, is this really what I want? I'm realizing, a few weeks ago, I was saying, gosh, I don't really feel like I have any hobbies lately. I work, I do various things, but when's the last time I just did something for myself that was more of a hobby? And I realized, that's not really the life I want, where I never do those kinds of things. And it's interesting now that we've slowed down and I see people around me picking up hobbies. They're picking up their guitars and they're doing all kinds of interesting things. And yeah, another great opportunity to actually maybe learn, to live a little differently and do more of what you want, less of what you don't want.
100%. There's no going back ever in time. You always have your experiences, and the path you've not walked cannot be rewind, not in real life.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So it all adds upon itself, and it's all a learning opportunity. It's all of being more of yourself, discovering yourself. And I agree with you in this notion of we have the possibility to use this time to slow down and assess and sit for a while.
Yeah. Yeah. And in your case with younger children, I mean, it really is, it's, I think, good for everybody on that front too. So difficult.
Definitely.
Work done.
It's different. It's definitely different.
Yeah. Yeah. But it's all going to help us grow. And that's the bottom line.
I
So,
agree. I agree.
can you tell people how they can find you, because you are an inspiration? And so I'm going to post the links to your free classes myself. I will put them on my Limit Free Life Facebook page and send them out to as many people as I can. But also, if people would like to work with you, how do they find you?
Yeah, so definitely for the free classes and any sort of like free review or anything you'd like, find me on LinkedIn. It's Jennifer, Jennifer. I know I usually go by Jen, but I didn't grab that one quick. So Jennifer Buzza, and connect with me there. You can also email me, Jennifer at webclio.com. Yeah, just reach out and we'll do this to work with us. We do pretty big branding packages. We sell mostly information. So if you're ready to get something out into the world, definitely let me know. But I'm happy to talk to anybody.
Okay. Well, thank you.
Yeah.
That's very generous of you, because
Yeah.
big business and a lot going on. So thank you so much for coming on today. There's so much more we could talk about, but this was a great introduction, and I really do hope I will be on your free classes. Looking forward to them, and I hope people will take advantage of that and get to know you a little better. So,
well, thank you so much. And I will definitely be attending your meetings too, which I really appreciate. So thank you, Michelle. It's great to be with you today.
yeah, great to have you on. I really appreciate it. So enjoy this busy time for you. And for the rest of you out there, thank you so much for watching and for listening. And Jennifer referred to some meetings that I'm holding, some free meetup kind of virtual meetings on Zoom. And we're doing those on Fridays. If you sign up for my newsletter, limitfreelife.com, you can find my newsletter there. And if you sign up for that, you'll get all the info. And you are welcome as part of our community to join that as well. So I guess that's it for today. And have a wonderful and very safe, healthy week. We'll be back next Wednesday at 1 o'clock for another Limit Free Life show. And work right now on creating that work and that life that you love. Now you have time. I think one of the most important messages I have to share with the world about the work that I do is that your work is yours to create. This is your piece of art that you can create in your life, and there's really nothing stopping you. Overall, most of us can
learn what we need to learn, and figure out what we need to figure out, and create that fabulous career or business that we dream about. And there's really no reason to think that you can't. My name is Michelle Perkins, and I am the CEO and founder of a company called Limit Free Life. And I help men and women to make dramatic change in their lives so that they can have the fulfillment, fun, and financial prosperity that they have always wanted to find through their work. The main services I offer through Limit Free Life are one-on-one private coaching, group coaching, trainings and seminars, and business consulting. My signature service is one-on-one coaching over a period of time, 3 months, 6 months, even a year. It really allows a person to decide on an outcome that they desire, and then for us to work together to really achieve that outcome in full. The type of clients that I typically work with are professional men and women who are driven to do more, who might be entrepreneurs, but also career professionals who work in organizations, who are really looking to do more with their lives and very open to thinking in new ways about what they're doing, and who are willing to take responsibility, do the work, make some changes, and who don't say I can't a whole lot. Clients up-level in a number of ways. For some, they start a business after being in the corporate world. For others, they have an existing business and they really figure out the key and the formula to making that business grow and take off. For some, it's a matter of really developing courage. And for many, it's a matter of up-leveling their view of themselves, what they're capable of, how powerful they are, what their strengths are, and where they can go in life. What I see also is that there's a spark that kind of gets lit, and that flame keeps growing within them, and there are things that they want that maybe they were reluctant to even express that they wanted, and now they just go for it. They have bigger wants and bigger dreams than they had before, and this sense that they can achieve those things. I feel very strongly that money beliefs are foundational to developing a business that can scale and grow and become the business that you want it to be, whatever level of success that is. And for people who feel stuck or their business isn't going the way they want, a lot of times it comes back to some of these money beliefs. So as a certified money mindset coach, I have the training to help people understand where their hidden money beliefs are either interfering in their lives or businesses, or coming into play in some fashion in all the decisions that they're making, both in their business and in their life. The overall mission behind my work is to help people love their work, to find satisfaction, fulfillment, fun, and also to be financially prosperous in what they're doing. That combination to me is a perfect recipe for making work a great part of your life. And so that's my vision, is for people to see work and money as allies in their life and things they can lean on so that they have something that makes them feel important and something that gives them a place to go to develop a sense of identity and purpose and meaning in the world. My greatest hope for my clients is that they will develop a holistic relationship with work, money, and life, and there won't be this separation where they go to work and then they live their life after work, and they will develop work or businesses that they love, that they look forward to going to, and they give them the freedom and the income and the happiness that they're looking for in their life. I think one of the